center in human design, as I said, is a source of pressure. And there are many paths that lead from the root center. It's a very activated place in the chart. And these gates either lead up to the sacral center, the center of action and doing or being, or the emotional center, the center for clarity, creativity, relationships, and emotion. And or they can lead off to the spleen, the center for survival, thriving, intuition, time, health, and wellness. So the core role of this root center is that it's a pressure center that fuels evolution by creating a sense of urgency or an inner pressure to take action. And it operates sort of like a launch pad, right? Where the energy is like pushing us with pressure to go somewhere. But where the pressure goes depends on the gate and its channel that is connected to it. But the root is also a motor. And the motor here is generating energy for movement, change, and transformation. But again, it operates in pulses. So it's not operating necessarily on stream of energy like the sacral that's always available or the emotional energy that rides in waves. This is pressure that comes in the moment and then the moment's gone, right? So it's adrenalized stress. So if we understand the gates of the spleen and understand particularly the gates that we have this weekend or this week, then we have an idea of what we're being pressured to do or what we're pressured to become. So if we look at this center as the awareness of instinctual, or the gates that lead to the spleen are awareness of the instinctual survival, right? Instinctual survival. So if we start with the gate 58 on this side, because right now we're taking this tour of all of the gates, and then I'll bring it back to the gate 38 and the gate 39, the earth and the sun for the week. So these gates move pressure into the spleen center. And these three, 54, 38, and 58. And the pressure is about the real time responses that we have to fear, pressure, or growth, because that's what this center is all about. And the gate 58 down here is called the gate of joyful mastery. It's the pressure to correct what's off, like what's not right or what's not in alignment. And it drives improvement through vitality, but also through joyful refinement, right? This isn't about the drudgery of perfection. This is about the perfecting in a way that brings joy, that restores a joyful flow. And of course, this is mastery, which means it also takes time, right? Time to be able to do this. The gate 38, which is where the earth is sitting this week, as you can see, I have it defined here, is the gate of struggle. And the pressure here is to find purpose and meaning in your actions, motivating us to fight for what's really worthwhile, right? You've heard the saying, choose your battles wisely. Well, that's kind of what this is all about, choosing your battles wisely. That means trying to discover what's really, truly valuable for you and then sticking with that, fighting for that. Then the gate 54 is called the gate of ambition or drive. That is really a gate of beginnings, where the beginnings of um, purpose really push us out. It's kind of the hero's quest gate, I sometimes think of it, right? All the journeys that we take in our lives kind of begin with the impetus of the gate 54. It's the pressure to rise, to transform, and to improve ourselves, our material conditions, our physical conditions, emotional, mental, spiritual, all begin at this gate 54. So the gates on the left side, as you're looking at the root center that move toward the spleen, are all pushing us toward embodied instinctual awareness, using our intuition, using our gut instinct. The energy is physical and it is purposeful, and it is often challenging our comfort, right? Getting us pushed out of our comfort zone by the pressure of adrenalized stress on the left side of the root center. Now, the gates that go toward the sacral are the gate 53, the gate 60, and the gate 52. Now, these gates funnel root center pressure into sustainable action and via that sacral center, the center for the center for uh, sustainable life force energy, let's call it. And here, this is about work. This is about momentum and staying in tune with the natural rhythms of life. So if we look at the gates here, the gate 53 is all about starting things, right? This is pushing out of the root center. It's the pressure to begin a new cycle. It initiates momentum, but doesn't sustain it. It's not sustainable until it reaches the sacral energy. The gate 60 is called the gate of conservation in quantum human design, limitation in traditional human design. It's the pressure to break through limitations or to respect natural boundaries, right? The drive here is innovation, but through restraint, right? Growth that would become sustainable when it reaches up to the sacral center. And the gate 52 is called the gate of stillness. And the gate of stillness, this one, it's so crazy to me that the root center pressure has this gate of stillness here. This is the pressure to stay still and to stay focused. And it's great for channeling energy into productive concentration because it meets up with the gate 9, which would be the gate of concentration. Um, but these energies create either focused drive or restless stagnation, depending on how pressure is handled, right? And of course, that also depends on whether you have the center defined or open. Now, if we look at the gates toward the solar plexus, you have the gates 19, 39, and 41. The gate 19, so well, first of all, these gates bring the root pressure uh, to the emotional center. So the pressure is to emotionally stir us or challenge us to take action. It provokes movement of the self or others, right? If the gate 39 can be provocative, either I get provoked or I provoke you. And the provocation here is toward clarity or toward transformation. It's not punitive, right? This is more like, let me provoke you to realign with spirit or to your true self or your authentic self. Now, clarity builds over time, right? It's the solar plexus, and it requires patience to wait through the emotional waves. Now, looking at gate 19 is called the gate of attunement or the gate of sensitivity. It's the pressure that we feel to be close to others, to belong, and to meet emotional or material needs, right? It's very sensitive to what it needs, and it's very sensitive to other people's energies as well. The gate 39, where the sun is this week, is the gate of provocation or recalibration in quantum human design. And if you watched the show last Wednesday that I did with Tam, we talked a lot about the theme of July is all about recalibration. This is the pressure to emotionally stir or challenge us to move us toward something more spiritual, right? Towards something more clarifying in our lives. And the gate 41 is called the gate of imagination. This is a start codon on your DNA, and it is a start codon in the gene keys. It's about imagination. It's the pressure to dream, to feel, to envision, and to envision not just a new you, but a new emotional experience. What would it feel like to be abundant? What would it feel like to live authentically? What would it feel like to do what you love to do with passion? And it's the root of all of the creative and emotional journeys that we take, right? Because it's moving off toward the emotional center. Now, these gates, all right here on the right side, 19, 39, and 41, catalyze emotional growth and emotional depth. And the energy is less about action and more about feeling your way toward right action. So there are three paths that lead off of this root center. The spleen is about survival awareness, the one here on the left side. I'm circling it. I hope you see that. Um, It's survival awareness and as well the instinctual awareness, the gut instinct, intuition that helps us to survive and furthermore thrive, right? It is also connected up to the sacral, and here is where productivity is, where the cycles of productivity live, and where focused energy lives. So when the root center connects to the sacral, this is where productivity happens or production energy happens. And if it's moving off to the solar plexus here, it is emotional truth. It is intimacy and maybe even spiritual clarity if it connects, say, like to the 55, which is the gate of the spirit of abundance, right? So ask yourself, where do you feel pressure in your life right now? Because the pressure is being lit up by the sun and the earth this whole entire week with the sun at 39 and the earth at the gate 38. And is it leading you, this pressure, is it leading you to take action or to feel or to attune to something that is going on in your life? Good questions, right? It's kind of weird doing this without a live audience this morning, but hey, got to do what you got to do. So let's take a look at the 39 in a little bit deeper, because this is, like I said, this is the gate called recalibration in quantum human design. It forms the theme, the backbone of the month of July. And that's also because later this month, on the 10th, I believe it is, of July, Jupiter moves into the gate 39 for a significant amount of time. So we're recalibrating, right? We are in this root pressure that is provocative to provoke or to shake up stagnation in your life and bring clarity to your relationships, your emotions, and your inner truth, whatever that might be for you. And it's really deeply tied to the solar plexus because that's where it's moving us, right? The 39 is moving energy out to the solar plexus. And it provokes emotional clarity in others as well as your own emotional clarity. The people who carry the gate 39 often find themselves provoking others in some way. I sometimes like to call them my provocateurs because they have a message or their behaviors or their attitudes provoke others. And the provocation can be positive or negative, but often it's provoking people to move more toward their authentic truth or more toward their divine selves. Now we have to watch for agitation with the gate 39, frustration, or in a way where we push others too hard, because that's distinctly possible as well. And mastery here comes when we provoke consciously to awaken potential, either in ourselves or others, not to control an outcome. So it works really positively when we're using this energy to awaken our consciousness. And if we look at this energy through the gene keys, in the shadow, provocation actually lives in the shadow. It's a disruptive or emotionally reactive energy. So provocateurs sometimes just poke the bear, kind of, like, let's just see what happens if I say this audacious thing. So in the shadow, in the gene keys, we have provocation. The gift is dynamism. And dynamism is creative. It is moving energy used for transformation, right? We're transforming our lives, our conditions, our families, our world by moving forward. In the siddhi, or the highest expression in the gene keys, this is liberation. This is freedom beyond reaction. What would it be like in the world if we didn't have to react to everything that's going on around us, right? If we could just step back and be a little more objective, perhaps, about what is happening, that would be so cool in the gene keys. The Siddhi, we're reaching for liberation. So, really, it's the path of provocation to liberation via dynamism, right? Moving energy toward transformation. Now, the earth is in the gate 38 over here on the side that leads over to the spleen. And the 38 is the struggle for meaningful direction. It is sometimes called the gate of fight. And it is the struggle, really, that we all experience to find meaning in our lives or to, uh, you know, find a path or something that's true for us. It's the fight for purpose, I guess you could say. And it provides energy to stand up for what matters to you, right? And then to persevere when the going gets tough. When the going gets tough, are you going to just fold or will you continue the struggle? And here's the key. If, choose your battles wisely here, right? If it's something that you're really excited about or passionate about, it's worth it to stick with the struggle. Now, if you're feeling restless or uncertain, you may be sensing where your actions are no longer serving your deeper truths. That means that it's time to change something, right? Healthy struggle energizes you, and pointless struggle drains you. So if you're feeling drained by the struggle, it's probably the wrong battle that you're playing here. In the Gene Keys, the Gate 38, shadow is struggle, fighting unwinnable battles, or even attaching to suffering, right? So have you ever noticed some people are attached to suffering, right? They just have this need to suffer, right? That everything is suffering. That's pointless struggle. But energized struggle feels healthy. It feels good, right? It feels like I'm sticking with this, like me this morning, sticking with doing this broadcast, even if I have to record it and then load it up to YouTube and Facebook too. The gift of the Gene Key 38 is perseverance, tenacity, determination, right? Tenacity in service to soul aligned purposes, right? Whatever that might be for you. The Siddhi is honor, and honor the sacred warrior path, right? Fighting only for what uplifts and heals, not fighting all the battles, right? Sometimes it's just best to let some things go, right? And in Gene Key's languaging, then we're a journey from struggle to honor through perseverance, right? Persevering. So the core message of the week, if we look at the bigger picture, is that the root center is pressuring you to move. It is pressuring us to take steps, to start the journey or continue the journey or stick with the journey. But your emotional clarity is really determining where and how, right? Where and how it is that you're going to do this. So let pressure fuel your transformation this week, not reactivity, right? Let struggle lead your purpose, but not to exhaustion, right? We have to mind our energies here. All right. Now, that's pretty much where we are. This is a quietish week on Friday, which is the 4th of July in the USA, and I won't be broadcasting live. There are a couple of things that I want to take you through now that will be able to help you understand what's going on over the weekend. And I know it's only Monday, but like I said, Friday is the 4th of July in the USA. I have family coming and picnics and stuff, so I won't be on air. But on Friday, Venus moves into Gemini. Note that she's been in Taurus for a bit, and now she is making a change. She will be in the sign of Gemini from July 5th until August 1st. And her core theme here is about curiosity in connection with others, lighthearted exploration, sort of a flirtatious feel with Venus and Gemini. And she loves here social engagement and the mental stimulation in love and in money and in relationships and beauty and all of that. So Venus and Gemini in relationships becomes more mental than emotional, though, right? In Taurus, we had a little more practical displays of love. In Gemini, we have more mental, or think like witty banter between people, or playful teasing, or exchanging ideas with people. That's what Venus and Gemini really loves. You personally may crave some variety and stimulation over stability and depth. We've had enough of the stability and depth with her in Taurus. Now she's going to be in Gemini, and we need some of that, stimulating conversation. It'll be a great time for meeting new people or having conversations that spark or somehow, create more interest in your relationships, maybe refreshing your existing partnerships and whether that's business or pleasure, but also, injecting a bit of fun and creative energy into all of those relationships. But watch out for scattered attention, right? Or shallow connections. Gemini is superficial on the surface, right? It goes wide, but not deep. But it is also, an energy that scatters our minds a bit if we get overly stimulated, too much logic, too many ideas, too much conversation. And here that can create a situation where we avoid emotional depth in our relationship. So we don't want to do that, but we also don't we want to keep it real, but we, want to be able to also keep it light. Let's say that. Now, Venus at Gemini and finances, because that's the other big category that Venus rules. Maybe we're feeling drawn to spend money on things that are of an intelligent sort, mental pursuits or courses, things that teach us, books, tech, communication devices, tools, travel, right? Travel things. Think about things like buying fun dual purpose things, or anything that is going to enhance your skills or your learning. um, it's not ideal timing for big long-term financial commitments. Remember, Gemini is kind of the superficial, the surface of things. It's better for short-term purchases when Venus is in Gemini, low risk investments while Venus is in Gemini, not something that is going to stand the long test of time. So there is a spiritual takeaway here with Venus moving into Gemini as well. The transit invites us to communicate our values to others, to share from our hearts. We might be curious about others and what they believe or what their thoughts are and their ideas, but keep it light, right? Love is learning, play is sacred, and exploring different perspectives that people have, but without locking into just one, is a very apt way of spending the time that Venus is in Gemini. Now, Neptune is also turning retrograde the same day. Now, remember, Neptune is an outer planet. It just made a huge change by moving out of Pisces and into the sign of Aries. So now we have retrograde season coming for Neptune. And this is where truth, everything in a retrograde planet moves more inward. So truth emerges here out of the illusion, perhaps. It could be a spiritual recalibration for all of us during these few months. Maybe quiet inner listening, right? Listening to the small voice inside and the dissolving of dreams that no longer hold any kind of weight with us, right? Letting go of the things that don't matter. So, what can we expect during this time? Well, Neptune's fog slowly lifts, right? It's just like the fog bank slowly lifting. Clarity would arrive around where we've been deceiving ourselves, perhaps, or avoiding the reality of something. And dreams and ideals will kind of undergo a gentle review, right? We're looking again at what is most meaningful for us, what's still aligned. Because, now that Neptune is in Aries, there's, much more I am presence energy involved. So, what might have felt good to you to do because others enjoyed it or because it seemed like it brought you, satisfaction from others, now it's going to be more about, yeah, that doesn't bring me satisfaction anymore. This does. So that may be what's happening. What have you been escaping, and what have been your escapist routes? And how can you, kind of fix that if it's something that's taking you away from your authentic expression? So this will be a time of intuitive realignment, not dramatic upheaval necessarily, although combined with Saturn, because there is that conjunction going on, I wouldn't be a bit surprised, right, if there's something, a wake up call that we receive, from the collective. Um, but really expect inner shifts around, your inner world, soul's whispers, if you will, right? Your soul whispering to you, a gentle dissolving of the old fantasies and old toxic patterns that you've adopted over the course of time. So this is an inward invitation for everybody. Retreat, rest in your spiritual center. Maybe pay attention to your dreams and synchronicities and your creative nudges because they carry truth hidden in the symbols. And sometimes when Neptune is moving direct, we don't notice that symbology as quickly as we do when he's in retrograde. So Neptune retrograde is like a tide that's pulling back, that reveals what's been hidden in the sand or buried under the emotional waves that you'd been feeling, especially those Piscean ones that, are now going to get ready to be, finished up for us as Neptune will move backward into the sign of Pisces over time here. You're being called to see clearly what the dream is and be more conscious about that dream. So, this week's recalibration extends beyond just the human design. It really is happening in the skies too, through the planets that are up there, making their moves on a daily basis. Venus invites us to explore joy through connection, through curiosity, through conversation. And Neptune invites us to release illusion and reclaim intuitive truths. And they ask us, are your relationships and dreams aligned with who you are becoming? And I want to take a check here, real quick, on the human design of Venus on the 5th as I almost have to turn the page here, right? Um, when Venus moves into the sign of Gemini, she will move into the gate 20, which is also called the gate of patience. It lives in the now. It's an interesting gate, don't you think, to be, your dreams, Venus taking us into new territory, perhaps with conversations and ideas, but also tempting us or kind of inviting us to stay patient, to stay in this moment. Neptune, of course, is still at the gate 25 in human design over here on the identity center, which is called the gate of spirit, right? The love of spirit. So Neptune in retrograde, really bringing us back to the truth of who we are, which are divine beings that are having a human experience.